All right, we are live. Welcome to the week.
All
Excuse
right.
me. It's not the weekly Reptile Hangouts podcast anymore. We did a little rebrand real fast. We are now just the Reptile Hangouts podcast. We dropped the weekly a little too long. As always, I am your host Nick Sheeler of Gecko Galaxy. Right below me, we've got Gabriel Nieves, DIY Reptile Keeper, and our brand new all the time co-host, my brother Charles Sheeler, C Sheeler 97 on Instagram. Yep, we're all the Instagram handles. It's okay if I stumble a little bit. Before we get started on our topic for the evening, just want to give my little weekly plug to the USARC. USARC, the United States Association of Reptile Keepers. They're the only ones fighting for our rights to keep these animals. So please do go check them out, usarc.org. Consider becoming a member so we can support them so they can keep supporting us. And I'll turn it over to you, Charles.
All right, guys. Sorry for my voice. First of all, I'm getting over some laryngitis here. But yeah, so my name's Charles. That's my brother. That that's my brother. Sorry, getting the cameras figured out. Yeah. So I used to keep mainly like boas when I was younger, and then I segued into some of the bigger python species, and then had to take a break for a little while. But we're back in it now. Just recently picked up a pastel pied ball python from Tinley Park, and it's one of the passions. Two of my main passions just happen to be like astronomy and hockey. Yeah, there it is.
There it is.
So a little bit about me. You'll hear more about me throughout the episodes and the weeks as they continue. But enough about me. While we're here, social media and the good and the bad, and sometimes the plain old ugly, and what you get with social media. So, Gabe, what do you think about the misinformation that's out there?
Oh man, it's ridiculous, man. There's tons of misinformation. It's just I guess it's just so easy to get misinformation nowadays. When it comes to basically anything, it's easy for anyone to for just anybody to make a video or make a post or whatever, and just people take it to heart. So I don't know, man. It's just tons of it. I don't know exactly how to get into it.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, one of the things that I notice a lot is people will just snap a quick photo on Facebook. Hey, what is this? I found it. I'm thinking about keeping it, and it's like almost every other comment is like, oh, that's a cottonmouth. Apparently every snake on the eastern coastline is a cottonmouth. You never, So I think people are so
yeah,
snappy with dishonest, or just maybe not even trying to be, just the quick answers just to be first, not even to be right. Nick, I'm sure you've seen some of that.
Yeah, absolutely. That's definitely true. There's some Facebook groups out there that are dedicated to ID, and then there's also ones that are dedicated to just herpetoculture when it comes to particular species or groups of species, and you get a lot of good things out of them, but you also get a lot of really bad things out of them. Facebook's main goal, obviously, and I think they've achieved that, is to bring people together, especially like-minded people, who like the same things. But at the same time, these Facebook groups carry with them a certain level of negativity and toxicity, especially as it relates to a new keeper. Somebody coming into the hobby who wants to get into something, and then they start making posts and asking questions or posting pictures of what they're doing, and it's almost always followed by a serious negative response from over half of the people who
somebody.
actually comment. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
yeah,
and I think a lot of it is Nick, and people just don't remember where we started, man. Uh, we, I don't know about you, but I didn't know it all, and I still don't know it all. And I think a lot of people just they think they know it all, and they don't remember that it's a process. I think that when people are joining these groups and doing these stuff. They're trying to join these groups, to learn. And when you have people that just sit there and say rude remarks and stuff like that, and don't just take this a second to just, hey, maybe find out what this person's situation is, and just try to teach them. People just rather just be mean instead of just try to help. I mean, shit.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah. The motto, the motto I like to keep for social media is "People suck," and that
Yeah.
seems to be true no matter what you're doing on social media, unfortunately.
Yeah, I mean, coming
But
from a person who's pretty much spent his entire life delving into his animals, yeah, I can relate to that. Animals are awesome. People suck mostly. Um, but there are definitely some good
Basically.
people out there on these Facebook groups who are trying to do the right thing. Unfortunately, it's just, it's hard to moderate exactly what's going on in these groups, even though there are people who are extremely dedicated to trying to monitor them and try to get rid of the negative comments. Sometimes they slip through, and yeah, I think the most important takeaway is if a new keeper is going through the channels of using social media to try to get the information they need to do this thing that we do, the best thing we can do is help them in a way that's not going to discourage them. And I see that all too often.
Exactly.
People get discouraged. They post on a Facebook group, they get completely blasted, and then the next post is "Y'all suck. I'm leaving." You know, I've seen it
Yeah.
so many times
Yeah.
on the groups
yeah,
that I'm in for New Caledonian geckos, crested geckos, Chihuahua geckos, whatever it may be. I see it all the time.
yeah, yeah.
Oh yeah.
And
I mean, I've seen it.
not to break topic, but that happens in the astronomy groups. I mean, you'll remember in a couple of them together, and yeah, I think it just comes with the social media platform, which is unfortunate.
Yeah,
I feel like as a community, we should try to work harder, everybody, to
yeah,
not discourage or belittle someone who doesn't have the same knowledge or experience
yeah,
as you and me.
yeah. Gabe said it, I think, too, that we do forget where we come from. We all started somewhere. We all started with little to no knowledge. We talked about this last week, Gabe. Me and you started with the same animal and made probably all the same mistakes. We took the pet store advice, and it still happens to everybody today. And then they join these groups because they feel like there's going to be some experience there for them to draw from. And sometimes they're met
Hmm.
with a really good response, and other times they're met with a response that's not so good. um I mean, what you've obviously seen that, right, in some of these reptile groups. People come on, and maybe they just ask a question, maybe they post a picture of their setup. I mean,
Yeah. I mean,
what
dude,
happens nine
I've
times out
seen
of
it
ten?
all. I've seen it all the time. I saw it not too long ago. Someone, a day or two ago, someone posted, a picture. They were like, "Hey, thanks for the ad to, this is my lizard, and this is his cage, and I'm excited. Thanks for that." Basically, just like a simple thank you for adding me to your Facebook group. This is my animal, and that's it. And people just blew her up, man.
Yeah,
They
I mean,
just,
on her husbandry or what her cage looked like. I mean, is that what was
yeah,
going
just
on?
basically. I mean, her cage was just simple, like a basic beginner enclosure. Just a regular hide and whatchamacallit, just a little hide, a water bowl, and a couple branches. No like greenery or nothing like that. But people just I mean, people just lost it, man. Like people are like, oh, that's messed up that you're keeping your animal or something like that. And meanwhile, I mean, she just got this lizard, and like no one takes the chance to be like, hey, what, just to try and give her some information instead of just being rude. I don't know.
Yeah, I
It's
understand.
just,
Yeah, I mean, that makes 100% sense to me too. I see it all the time. I mean, I'm constantly trolling the Facebook groups and I say trolling, I'm not being a troll, but I'm watching and seeing what's
Yeah,
going on.
maybe check your
yeah,
terminology on that
Oh,
one.
Oops.
I'm
I
going to
told
step
no.
away for a few moments. I'm going to go get some more tea for my incredibly sore throat. I'll be right back.
Okay, no worries, bro. All right. So
Yeah, man. But
basically what we're dealing with is that a lot. And I listen to a lot of these podcasts, and when it comes to reptiles and stuff like that, and other people have talked about this as well. um, the really the best way to handle it, which it only gets handled by a small number of people this way, is if you see something wrong, obviously you want to take the opportunity to educate that person, and you want to do it in such a way that's
yep.
not going to chase them away. So the best thing you can do is reach out to them privately, and be like, hey,
Yeah,
I'm a
man.
long time
Exactly.
keeper, got a lot of experience with this. I just noticed that, maybe your cage needs to be set up slightly differently, or, a lot of times too, people come to these groups with their problems. They're worried about their animal for some reason or another, whether they're worried about like some stuck shed, or they're worried because they're not sure if it's eating all the time. We get that
Yeah,
with
man.
the crested geckos all the time because they don't eat a lot, so it's hard to
Yeah,
tell,
it's hard to
especially when they're
tell.
babies. And they come in and and they ask, and they're met with extreme hostility, or they're met with nothing but take it to vet, take it to vet, take it to vet. And don't get me wrong, if you get yourself into keeping animals, you should be prepared to possibly have to go to the vet. That's just one of those things
Exactly.
that's going to have to happen. So if you can't afford to take your animal to a vet, then I mean, I tend to agree in some cases maybe you shouldn't have it. But not every single problem requires a vet. There's a lot of knowledge to draw from in these groups, and a lot of years of experience. And a lot of people try to be really nice about it, and they try to encourage the person. But then there's also always the people that are just like, you're awful, I can't believe you're keeping your animal that way. It wouldn't have stuck shed if you misted it right, or whatever, whatever it may be.
Yeah, yeah. You're right. You're 100% right. But if a lot of times you see these animals, and yeah, they're might not be in like the most perfect conditions, but you can take. I mean, the way I see it is, you can take that and help the person grow. I mean, grow as a keeper. I mean, that's all it's about. I mean, we've all made mistakes, and I just think that we forget about it. And
Yeah,
we just need to, instead
yeah,
of sitting here and just being mean to people. We should just try to help everybody help everybody along. I mean, that's what the hobby's about. I mean,
yeah.
part of it at least.
Yeah,
Yeah, and I mean, I don't know if you both would agree with this statement, but I find that, when we come in contact with people in our hobby, or in really any hobby, I know you have other hobbies that we don't do, Charles, that you golf, you play hockey, you know,
Yeah, he does
when
everything.
you're with these people in person, they're usually nice people, right? And they want to help you. They want to go out of their way to help you. But
yeah,
there's something about hiding behind a keyboard that just brings out the meanness in some people. I don't get it,
yeah.
but it is what it is.
Hey,
Yeah.
and I think this goes back to I think even our grade school days. If you wanted to be mean to somebody, you either did it when you had a lot of people around you, or you wrote it on a piece of paper. And now we're in the the digital age, so that transfers almost directly to a cell phone, or some variant of that.
Yeah. I mean,
And it's small, it's not. It takes a really insecure person to do that, and it's unfortunate, but I feel like it's definitely a group effort.
yep.
Uh, and I honestly would like to believe that we're making those steps in the right direction as a reptile keeper community, because I do see more and more quality things being said every day almost. And we've actually had an instance, me and you, Nick, on a separate Facebook page, where some of the other people that are members of that group will actually defend new members or other people like that, and I like to see that.
Yeah, I
Funny
remember.
story, yeah.
It was
Uh,
hilarious actually.
yeah, he posted a picture he took of what was it, Andromeda, I
It was
think.
the Andromeda
It
Galaxy.
was,
Yeah.
yeah, it was the Andromeda Galaxy, and I ripped him to shreds on the comment section, just joking, of course. It's my brother, I got to mess with him, and
Absolutely.
I got blown up, man. It had to be 20 people. just let me have it for being rude.
Oh, they did. They did.
And
It
nobody
was
really put the last
fantastic.
names together. And then
Yeah.
finally he was on there. He's like, "Hey, it's my brother. We were just kidding." I was like, "Hey, I was just joking. You know, like, don't expect this from me."
Well, that's
But
good to
wow.
see, though.
It felt good to see. Exactly.
And you know, we see that on the reptile groups as well. I see a lot of people defending the poster, you know, the original poster against these people, these trolls, so to speak, that come in and just want to cause problems. So, yeah, is it bad out there? Yeah, but are there a lot of people trying to fight it? Absolutely. And you know, most of them are really ultimately trying to keep them in the group, you know, because I talked about they leave, you know, most of the time when these types of things happen. But people are trying to keep them in the group, and I think it's the right thing to do. I personally rarely comment on people's stuff unless it's just like, wow, that's beautiful, or wow, that's pretty,
Yeah,
or you know,
exactly.
that's awesome.
I've
Just because I try to stay out of it. Or, you know, if I happen to be the first one to see a question that I know the answer to, I'll try to give the answer, you know, but
Man,
most of
the stars got to align for that to happen. I
they
swear, the
really do.
people that live on it. Every time someone posts a photo, there's like
Dude,
100 comments.
there are some diehards on
Yeah, man,
Facebook.
the
There
photo's
are.
been up for 5 minutes and there's 300 comments. I'm like, oh my goodness.
It's like,
I
well,
don't
I
even know
guess
if I should respond.
no. I mean, that's honestly why I don't answer a lot of questions on Facebook that I may know the answer to, is because it's just so fast. You know, going back to ID
Yeah,
groups,
it
you know,
is.
I've been in some reptile ID groups because I have a fair amount of experience in the field and IDing reptiles in most of, you know, the country. You know, even though I haven't been into other parts of the country herping that much, I've done my research. I've looked at a lot of, you know, a lot of IDs and a lot of ID photos and a lot of keys and stuff. But it's almost impossible to get your answer in because not only do you have people who watch the groups like a hawk and post immediately, but you also have admins who apparently that's literally their job. That's all they do is watch and they shut the comments off after one comment. And you're just like, well, I can't even tell them that's really good find or anything like that. It's like it's
Yeah.
Yeah,
strictly
exactly, man.
ID. Don't you dare say anything else. So it really takes a lot of the fun out of those types of groups, you know, when it outside of herpetoculture and into more like the field herping groups. You know, the best one on there is, I'll name it by name, it's the North American Field Herping Association. If you're not a member of that on Facebook and you like to field herp, you should be a member because it's a great group. They don't shut the comments off. You know, they try to get the right information out there, but mostly it's a community of people who appreciate field herping and just want to share what they've seen. So there's always good groups and there's always bad groups.
Yeah.
I mean, there's
So,
tons. But I've joined and left so many groups I can't even remember, man.
yeah,
It's
I can agree with that. Yeah.
it's crazy, man. I mean, it's every
Well,
other
this
one.
seems
I
like
mean,
what were you saying, buddy?
no, you're good, though. What's up?
Oh, no, I was just going to say, going over these notes here, uh, I should say this book
This
we
this
received
this book that I
on
wrote,
this podcast episode.
not the best note taker. Sorry.
It seems like a natural segue. And I'm going to bring up a concern that I feel like most of us have all had, and I'm gonna try and make the link into today's topic. Let's see if I can do it. But I think we've all been to some reptile expos or shows or anything like that, and we've just kind of noticed some poorly kept animals. We put it that way. Maybe not as thick as we like them, or kept dark and kind of cold. And I feel like that will almost kind of somehow lead into a lot of the YouTube guys that we all know and love with their hundreds and hundreds of acres of racks. And they got teams and 20s and 10s of people that take care of these animals. And then you get these guys that they're like, okay, I want to do this. This looks like there's some money in this. So they start buying. They start buying. And they're not really in it for the passion like we are. And the keeping of their reptiles declines. And I feel like that there's something to be said about this. Really isn't something to do for the money. You do this for the passion.
Yeah.
And if you do it for the money and you don't take care of the animals like the people that care about them do, the people that care about animals, no, they know when you don't. And that can literally deter them from, purchasing from you or even really interacting with you at all. So I feel like social media has a little hand in that as well. mean, you see something and you want to be like them. You want to be like that. But one person can't take care of hundreds of animals the way that they need to be taken care of.
Yeah.
No, no. Well, there's
And
no
and
way,
you
man.
guys keep a lot of animals, not to that tier, but I
No,
mean, there's
nowhere near
there's
that.
whole days I've tried to get with either of you, and they're like, "No, I'm doing reptile stuff today." I'm like, "Damn, all day?" I'm like, "Well, yeah, we got
Dude,
40 of them. It takes all day." And then, but when you go over there and you see these animals, or you see them on a table at a show, they're hands down the most beautiful animals. And I don't have anything to do with breeding them or keeping them. So that's a third party saying that about these two guys right here. You got to have the passion for it to to keep the animals healthy and to keep them how you would keep your dog or cat.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean they are just as important, and I think I called it in my notes the chasing the money issue. Um, you know,
oh
I've
man.
seen it all too often. Early in my keeping days, I was slightly
We've
guilty
been
of
to
it.
blame for that too.
I
We've
was
been
slightly
there.
guilty of it, although I didn't buy, tons and tons of animals. I just got into a single species because of the idea of, oh, maybe there's some money to be had here. So, coming from somebody who's done that, for the wrong reason, even though I still did have a passion for reptiles, it just wasn't the species that I, should have been working with, ball pythons. I'll just name it. Uh, they're not for me. I figured that out, and I figured it out the hard way because I was like, oh, ball pythons are making money. I'm breeding reptiles. I at least want to make money enough to be able to keep breeding reptiles. I should get into ball pythons. So I didn't have dreams of grandeur or riches or anything like some of these people do. Um, but I did, get into it for the money. And I honestly can say that while I love my YouTube and my Facebook idols, and a lot of them are doing it right, even though they have a lot, they're those video watching those videos and seeing posts and stuff are definitely part of the reason that I did it. So
Yeah, no, I get that. That's I think that's a little bit of us. I mean, I've been there, with the big snakes and stuff like that. You want to have 50 of them, motherfucker. Oh, mind my language, but you
it's
want to
okay.
have 50 of them, and it's
Yeah.
like nobody can take care of 50. Well, I mean, some
Well,
people can
not
do
one
it,
per. Yeah,
but
you have to
but
only be doing
it's
that.
not fun,
Yeah. Yeah.
you know.
If it stops
Yeah,
becoming fun, then you're obviously not doing it for the right reasons.
yeah,
And if you get too big
exactly.
for your britches and you start to lose interest, which does happen to all of us at some point or another, we'll have days, single days where it's like, oh man, I gotta
Yeah.
take care of all these geckos. All right.
Well,
All right.
a point in case on that one, like I said earlier, uh, huge shout out to BHB. Brian's one of the best in the business, and you hear it from him on a regular basis. He got to a point where he had to slow down and downsize and started getting back for the passion. And now we got the Reptarium out of it, and he's still producing world's first to this day. And I mean, he's still one of the nicest, best guys in the business. But even from a guy like that, saying, "Hey, I had to slow down, and I had to remember why I'm doing this and
Yeah, and I mean
get back to the passion."
we don't know Brian personally, obviously, so we can't speak to, 100% what's going on. But I think it's worth mentioning too that if we're talking about the negative aspects of social media, Brian is a guy who's been putting himself out on YouTube daily for years. He's not stopped.
Yeah.
He is one of the hardest working
I
people
mean,
in the YouTube game, honestly. He is daily posting for years, and he has gotten more hate than almost anybody in the reptile community for it. And he's made some videos responding to it, and he always tries to stay positive, but you can tell it really affected him at one point. But he got through it, thank goodness, because a lot of people who have to deal with this kind of negativity from random strangers who never met them hiding behind a keyboard, sometimes they don't make it, man. Sometimes they don't make it through. It's
no,
enough
it's
to it's
rough,
enough
Yeah.
to
man.
break you down. So I think there's something to be said for that. Brian's, like you said, he's definitely a nice guy. I met him once, but it was at a reptile show, so I don't know him, but everybody who does know him, who I've watched on YouTube and stuff, everybody agrees. Everybody who's really in the business agrees that he's a good guy and he does care. So you know um, the negative things that come from Facebook when it comes to commenting and stuff like that certainly swing over to YouTube. I'm a guy who's trying to start doing YouTube. Obviously, this is posted on my channel. So far, I've been met with pretty good response, but I have a small number of videos. I'm prepared that at some point, if I keep posting, there's going to be some hate, and you just got to prepare yourself for that. It's unfortunate, but that's the world we live in.
Yeah, that's how it is, man. Um, people just like to hate. Yeah, you're right. I mean, if you're doing better than somebody, yeah, they're gonna hate on you.
Yeah,
That's how it is, man.
yeah,
It's crazy, and you get a ton of that on social media.
Yeah, I
Uh,
sometimes sometimes I'm like, is that what this is for? Like, sometimes, man, it's just so bad, so
yeah.
bad.
I agree. So, we've talked about the fact that obviously there's some toxicity in these groups. There's going to be some toxicity when it comes to if you want to put yourself out there on YouTube. Um, uh, you mentioned in the beginning, briefly, we didn't really talk in any detail necessarily about it yet, the fact that there's misinformation being put out there. So, it's not something that we see every single day on these types of social media posts or on YouTube. I think everybody sort of goes into this with the right mindset. I don't think there's anybody out there that says I'm going to make a reptile YouTube channel just to mess everybody else's collections up.
oh, yeah.
But we do see varying levels of quality husbandry and varying levels of what everybody considers to be the proper way to keep animals, and we've seen this sort of evolution over the last couple of decades, going from the very, very bare minimum and very sort of sterile keeping of animals into this sort of new, the hot button word now is bioactive. Everybody wants to have bioactive enclosures. They want to add lighting where before we really didn't think that lighting was necessary for certain things. Um, I mean, what's your guys' take on that sort of thing? Where we're moving towards.
Dude, lighting is such
Hey,
a huge
Gabe, that's for
subject.
you.
All to
I got
say,
tons of
lighting is such a huge subject
yeah.
that we would have to have probably 2, 3 podcasts about that.
Yeah, we would,
Just
and we will, and we can have
yeah,
a sort of dedicated episode. But I think it's worth mentioning that, we've social media is not only playing a huge role in how this hobby grows, but it's also playing a huge role in how this hobby evolves.
you
Going
know,
going back real
it
fast to Brian, he's got the Reptarium. So now you're seeing both sides of the coin. You're seeing the industrial sort of production, where a lot of attention is paid to make sure the animals are healthy, but the keeping is sort of sterile and sort of minimalistic. And then you have this sort of
yeah,
basically a zoo where everything is really naturalistic and gets all the lighting. And then there's also the interaction sort of aspect of it and the enrichment part of it as well. You can continue, Gabe, because this is really your area. I mean, I want to move more towards that, and I try to give my animals as much as possible, but I do keep sort of minimalistically with the numbers I have currently.
Before you start, Gabe, I think that reptiles need lights.
That's a good point.
yeah.
I think you're right. That's an astute observation.
Man, it's
I
just
worked a long time on that one.
yeah, I can tell, man.
You don't have to go into like extreme detail, but sort of give us an idea of how your keeping has changed over the years, because I've known you for a long time and I've definitely seen that.
I
You
mean,
got some setup.
it's still evolving, man. It's still evolving.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not nowhere near where I want to be. I mean, let's just say that. I'm still in the process of building more stuff and just trying to change it up. But I don't know. I guess a few years ago there was a podcast that I started listening to called Animals at Home. I mean, and I think a lot of people, a lot of us, maybe you, or I don't know if CJ's listened to it. I'm sure you have. Uh, like it changed the way that starting starting to listen to that podcast really changed the way that I saw an animal. Like I used to, like you have this animal, and basically what you think about is just having this snake, oh, so I can show off and show it to people and be like, oh, look how cool this is and stuff like that. But you know, I really started listening to this podcast and started getting more into and trying to do more research into like the natural history of animals, and specifically some of the animals that I keep, all the animals that I keep.
Yeah, like
And
namely like their natural habitats and conditions, and trying
yeah,
to emulate those conditions. Yep. Mhm.
and it made me think that all my room just probably got super dark because all my reptile
Saw
lights
the
went out.
saw the lights go out.
A little darker, but yeah, not too bad. You're good still.
Okay. Um, and it made me think, I was like, man, what are these animals evolved? You know, they all look different because they're all evolved to live in like different environments and everything. And we know that obviously.
Yeah.
But like it's like why are we keeping this, this snake, or why am I keeping this snake in a box, literally, and like I just or lizard or whatever, just any type of animal. So I started, doing more research and trying to figure out, where the animals are from and stuff like that, and just what am I trying to say? Just started making different things, and started uh, changing things and seeing, just trying to give them some enrichment, and it really started changing the way that I looked at them because basically every single thing that I changed, just if you change one thing or you give them, you gave them one more branch or whatever, dude, the next day they're on that branch,
Right.
and
Yeah,
like,
I was gonna jump in and say that you're obviously seeing behavioral changes almost immediately
yeah,
when you add functionality to your enclosure.
yeah, man, like, I used to, I guess the biggest change that I've seen, and it's just the way I think about things, you know. I used to like see a snake and be like, oh, like, and I still got to work on that, man. I'm not gonna lie, I got some big snakes that really need bigger caging right now. Well, one big snake that needs bigger caging right now, but it's basically just everything that you do, like one little thing that you do, it just I don't know. What am I trying to say, man? I'm getting here. My
I
mouth.
think I know what you're trying to say. I think, and don't just kill it if you think I'm interrupting. But I think I know what you're trying to say. I think that what we're doing is we're seeing a push towards really caring about, like Charles said, emulating the conditions that they may or may not find, in the wild. So,
Yeah, exactly.
some guys on YouTube have done this. These are guys that travel the world and they do whole videos on just, how does this animal live? Are we taking care of him right? I'll name names. Dave
Oh, I know.
Kaufman. He's
Dave
got great
Kaufman's got some
yeah.
great videos on
He's
that.
got great series where he goes and he hikes up these mountains and goes into the caves where the cave rat snakes live, and he takes a temp gun and he takes a humidity probe and he looks at what we call micro habitats, which is another really big hot button thing. You know, yeah, the animal is from Indonesia or wherever it may be from, but it's
Give
not.
us give us a little 60-second excerpt on the definition of microhabitat.
So
Just in case
microhabitat
everybody's not aware.
is what it sort of sounds like. It's a habitat within a habitat. So your larger ecosystem and or habitat, whether it be like the rainforest or the tundra, which doesn't really apply to reptiles, but or the desert, there are microhabitats that occur within that habitat. So you know, um, coming from a guy who I really like on YouTube, his name escapes me right now, but Reptilian Diaries, check it out. He's a cool guy. He travels the world, and he goes with a specific list. I want to see these geckos. He's a big gecko guy. And you think he comes into this country and just starts driving around randomly looking? No, he's
Heck
looking for
no, dude.
micro
He is amazing.
habitats. He's looking for micro habitats. He's looking for specific rock piles. These certain geckos only are going to live in this rock pile. He's looking for, little crevices. He's looking for areas that are where the temperature is going to be just slightly different or the humidity is going to be slightly different. Going back to another one of Dave's videos, he found ackies in the wild in Australia. And, monitors in general like it really hot. But he found these ackies living in this crevice up underneath a rock. And after taking, temperature and humidity data, the humidity outside was damn near nothing. And the humidity inside was over 80%, and the temperature
Yeah, it was like
difference was large too. So that's the kind of stuff we're talking about when we're talking about microhabitats.
Yeah, you're a very
yeah,
specialized set of conditions in which
Yeah.
this animal really thrives, and I think that goes to a point too, because you look at just any snake from a hot area, like a rock python or something, Africa, right? Let's say this is going to be a terrible analogy, and I can't talk, so it's going to get even worse. But let's say that just because it's this hot and this dry, whatever in Africa, that's just what you need to do with it. Just do that. But you go there and you see, where are they? Oh, they're down in this real cool, kind of moist place, and that's actually where they stay. That's where they choose to live, and that's where they thrive the most.
Right.
And in 100% on their own in the natural. And I think what you're getting at with these microhabitats is, let's try and emulate not just what the book says or what you think based on where these animals are from, how they're actually kicking it back in their hometown,
Exactly.
like what they're actually doing.
Exactly.
Not what we think they should be doing based on where they're from.
I mean, just because you have a desert animal doesn't mean that it doesn't need humidity.
Yeah, that's
that
exactly.
It doesn't need water or something like that.
That's exactly.
Like I said, shitty analogy, but you got the point.
No, you made a good analogy, and I think that Gabe can speak to this too. That we are also seeing a push towards getting away from these broad categories. We worked in a pet store for a long time, and on the back of every box for lighting or for a product, there's a chart that says desert, rainforest, or whatever, desert, tropical.
Yeah, it was either desert or tropical. That was
tropical. Yeah, those are the big subcategories that we used to really follow, but now we're moving away from that, and I think it's really important that we are, because our legitimacy as hobbyists is growing now. We're not just being like, oh, that's a bearded dragon, make it hot and dry. They don't actually really care for that as much. They do like hot basking spots, and I think in general, most people keep their reptiles all across the board maybe a little too cold, except for certain species that do like it colder. So the heating is an element that needs to be addressed, obviously, and then also humidity. I mean, these are the big factors, and then there's also a bazillion other factors that play into whether you're going to see actual natural behavior from your reptiles, as opposed to they're adjusting their behavior because this is what they have to deal with. This is where they're living in this glass tank that you built, or this box that you built. They're going to adjust their behavior based on what you give them, and if you give them what they have evolved to use, you're going to see so much more from your animals than you ever would if you do it the old school way, with one light bulb, or God forbid a nighttime light bulb, or whatever, and then
and that's something that I've started using too. It's like, multiple basking areas. Really, I mean, that changes things up a lot. That's something that I've actually done for. Yeah, go ahead.
No, you're good.
All right, I'll step in. Can we make a small segue here to just talk about my pure and ever-burning hatred for a 10-gallon tank? I don't know what's happened to them. I remember they were just these nice little tanks, but I got a 10-gallon tank and a lid for a 10-gallon tank, and then I got these clips for a 10-gallon tank, and my lid is just all over the place, to the point where yesterday I went to feed.
I think that's where you went wrong.
So major
and shit started flying everywhere. I'm like, what the hell, man? This is the stuff made for this enclosure, and I'm to the point where I'm like, all right, I'm never again. I'll get at least 20 or bigger.
Definitely a little
glass enclosures, man. You need to get away from those.
Well, and it takes me back to when we got back from Tinley, and a friend of yours was having a similar issue.
Yeah, Nathan,
I can only imagine if I'm getting into this hobby and I'm like, I like that little lizard right there. I want that. And I'm like, okay, well, you're going to need all this shit too. I'm like, all right, give me all that shit. And then you take it home and you try to put the clips on, and you put one on and the other one flies across the room. And lid's all rocking around and it's teeter-tottering because it's not fit right. And it'd be the last thing I ever did. So
I
shout out
will
to whoever's making 10-gallon tanks. Be better.
be
So
better. Well, the thing is
back to what we were talking
coming
about.
from somebody who's been in it a good long time, and who used to use a lot of tanks but doesn't use as many now. I will agree that there seems to be some changes in the way they're making the clips. It's a little on the annoying side. But the other factor that you want to take into consideration is there's multiple glass aquarium manufacturers, and then there's like multiple glass aquarium screen lid manufacturers,
So bad.
and I
Oh
don't
yeah,
know that
man.
they're necessarily communicating.
Well, when you buy the one-piece clips on the package, it says 30-gallon and smaller.
Yeah.
I'm like, well, that can't possibly be
What if you
right
got like a half inch,
because they're very different. Yeah.
3/4 inch gap on one side of
Well,
the
what I've
screen lid?
And
noticed,
then they say you got to bend them to fit. All
Yeah.
right, well, it's this sheet metal. It's probably not even 100% pure anything. It's probably just some shit all thrown in a pot and put some powder coat on it. You
what
bend
I
it one time and then you
what
take
I've
it back
noticed,
off and it's broken. They break.
what I've
You
noticed
know?
is it seems like the one piece clips are few and far between now. At least in my little experience looking for them. Now they come in two pieces. They're a little bit annoying. The
One
ones
piece
that
clips are thriving here.
are
Thriving.
they
They
okay?
suck.
Well, the two-piece clips that I was able to get here, sorry if you're hearing the soundtrack of Huntington, West Virginia back there, ambulance uh, going right by my house. The two-piece clips that I got here for my little 10-gallon setup for my banded geckos, that they're working pretty well. When I first got them, I was like, "What the hell is this? This is two pieces." I wasn't used to it. It's been a long
Yeah.
time since I used a glass tank, and but they work. So I mean, yeah, I mean it's a fair tangent for sure. There are multiple manufacturers of both lids and tanks, and probably clips as well. So this is just what we get. This is why most people
Yeah.
are moving away
That's
from
why I
tanks
build.
altogether.
That's why you build your own, man. That's what
Yeah,
I
or
do.
buy the
But,
prefab, plastic ones or whatever. But we're getting to like
but I
the
guess that's what makes me the DIY reptile keeper, right?
That's right. Yeah, that is what makes you the DIY reptile keeper. But I'm gonna take over for just a second and just say that we're getting to that 40-minute mark, a little over 40 minutes now. So want to try to just get a little bit back on track. One of the things that I had on here that I did want to talk about, just as sort of one more little okay, this is sort of the last kind of negative social media thing, um, is actually talking about how people are doing research now. We talked about this a little bit last
Oh
week,
yeah.
how we came up in this hobby. We got our first lizard. We were told by the pet store to do what we did. It wasn't right. I mean, I did jump online to look for the information. Of course, back then there weren't really Facebook groups or anything like that. I had to
There's books.
go and look. And then there's books too. So, let's talk a little bit about how this sort of digital and social media age has changed the game when it comes to how people are doing their research, and
For the
how is
better.
that, huh?
For the better.
Well, it's changed it for the better in
Mm,
some ways for sure, but it's also changed it for the
no, I don't
negative.
think
And
so.
I think my main point that I thought of when I was trying to think of what I wanted to talk about tonight was that um, you can certainly do quality research using social media outlets. You can do it using Facebook groups. You can do it using YouTube. I am 100% guilty of watching YouTube videos, but I think that we're sort of in a mode where people are not necessarily, they're wanting a quick way to get through this. And
Yeah,
YouTube
it's
videos
the
are
care
not
sheet.
long. It
It's
is
a
the care
care
sheet
sheet.
mentality that's sort of gone digital, but it's not necessarily.
Exactly.
My thing is if you're doing research online, coming from a standpoint of somebody who's had to read a lot of papers and stuff like that, you read a lot of papers, like a lot, because these things get published, and they get peer reviewed, but they're probably not always, 100% right. And in science, we don't really claim to be 100% right. But when it comes to this stuff, sometimes people do claim that this is the right way to do it. But what you need to do, I think, and what I do is you watch a lot, or you go to a lot of Facebook groups and you read a lot of posts, or you ask a lot of questions and you read all the answers. I know it's overwhelming. There's a lot of feedback that you get when you go to these groups. But what you're doing is you're getting a lot of information thrown at you, and you're looking for a consensus to make your decisions on. And I just don't think that everyone is doing that. I think that sometimes people are like, maybe they're surfing YouTube. They like snakes or they like lizards. At a base level, they see a cool species. They watch one video, and then they go to the pet store
They're
or
like,
they
oh,
go to
this
the
guy's
expo.
got 1 million subscribers. This
Right.
guy's got 1 million subscribers. He knows what he's talking about.
Right. And I mean, not to completely take over the conversation and just talk. I mean, what do you guys think about that?
But
Do you think I'm
I
right? Do you
feel
think I'm
like
wrong?
I feel like you're right, and
No,
I feel like Gabe's also right in saying that it's not always for the better. But we can't just put this on the shoulders of everybody putting content on social media, because I
No.
do believe as the time goes on, the ease of access to information, well, be it that some of it's wrong, but a lot of it's right. You, as a keeper or as a new hobbyist, you need to put in the legwork that comes with doing research. Because if
Yeah.
you take a spoonful of the ocean and say there's no fish in here, there must be no fish in the ocean, you didn't learn anything.
Right.
So if that's the way you're researching, it's almost all going to be bad. And not because the knowledge or the information that was given to you was bad, just because of the lack, or there's not enough of it for you to gather a whole
Yeah.
opinion. Or
Yeah, that was my
Yeah,
point. Go ahead, Gabe.
No,
Go ahead. No, you go ahead.
just think that people people just don't want to do no research. Like, I guess that's what it is. I don't know. My phone, the
You
thing's
sound
going
fine.
in and out on my phone.
It's okay. You sound okay.
Earbuds for some reason.
We can hear you.
Or
I can.
But people just lazy, man. Lazy. They don't want to do no research.
Yeah, I mean, we are
And
sort of in a.
It's a lot easier. Just it's just easy to go on Facebook or on YouTube and be like, how do you keep a bearded dragon? And you can literally watch whatever video, and the messed up part is usually you watch the videos that first pop up,
Yeah, they're the most
messed up
popular
part
ones.
is that they're the most popular ones, but most of the time they're totally fucking wrong. Well, not totally wrong, but there's a lot of information missing.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, there is. And that's the thing. So as coming from somebody who is attempting to do this and make content, I haven't done, a lot of care videos at this point. I know what I do on a daily basis, take care of my animals. But, I think it's important, and I think a lot of YouTubers and stuff do this. It's to mention that, this is the way they do it. It's not the end all and be all. There's a chance that they're going to miss something, when it comes to what they're doing.
Mhm.
And they may be doing everything that they're supposed to be doing, but they might actually not mention something that they're doing or something that's important. It can get missed. But then there's that other content creator that might actually hit on that point. That brings it all the way back around to my point that, and Charles said the exact same thing. If your sample size is coming from a science perspective is really small.
Yeah, you're in. If you got a small N, that's what it is.
Yes, if your N is small, N is sample size, then you don't have shit, when it comes to what what you're trying to prove or what conclusions you're trying to draw. You can't draw conclusions with a small sample size. So, in this sort of era of, unfortunately, it's laziness, because we have everything available to us, right in our pocket all the time. It's easy to just watch a video and be like, cool, I got it, I'm an expert now, but you're not. And the person's video you just watched isn't really an expert either. They may not be claiming to be, but
No, because they probably watched a video 45 minutes before they made their video.
That's possible. Yeah, that's 100% possible. I think we can quote a good movie here. You got to bump those numbers up. Those are rookie numbers, right?
Those are rookie numbers.
Yeah. So watch more videos, ask more questions. If social media is going to be the way that you're going to do your research, and it's a totally viable way to do it, really pour yourself into it before you make a flip decision and just decide that you can get this animal. There are some animals that are very easy to care for, and honestly, you can get them and they'll probably live through the trial periods of you trying to figure out what to do. But that's not the right way to do it, even still, Yeah.
Got to be a better student.
No.
Yeah.
No,
yeah,
man.
You got to be a better student.
You do, exactly. That's what it's about.
Yeah, 100%, 100%, 100%.
Yes.
So yeah, I mean, I think
there's
I thought,
goods and bad. You know, there's goods and there's bads, and it's, you know, that's going to be in everything. You know, I think that definitely, you know, there's a lot of bads about social media, but I do think that, and I'm actually not a person that's super active on social media. I mean, you can send me something on Facebook, I probably won't see it for a week, you know, but um, you know, it's definitely helped the hobby along. I mean, like,
yeah,
I will say that. I mean, like, it's easy. It's so much easier to to basically do anything you want to do nowadays.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the great thing about social media. But
Gabe, I want you
yeah,
to keep that thought. We're getting up past the 50-minute mark. Um, let's finish on a good note. Let's talk about the good. What Gabe, you lead us off here. What has social media, and it can be any platform, really done for you for the good side of your keeping and your passion of the hobby? Maybe introduce you to a new species or got you thinking a little more
oh
creatively
man,
about how you keep them. So let's hear a little bit about that because I don't want it to be
well
100%
that's
negative all the
basically
time.
the most thing that is done for me. Allowing me to see how other people keep their animals has really helped me to it, it's helped me to become better. I guess that's the best way I can say.
Yeah, yeah.
Just because
Continue. Keep
that's
it going, brother. I'll be right back.
yeah. I mean, just seeing the way that other people keep their animals and you know the goods and bads. You know, it's helped me focus on myself. You know, and focus on just trying to do better by myself. You know,
yeah,
and it's actually downsizing a lot. You know, that's something that I'm still working on. You know,
yeah,
downsizing just because truly, you know, I want to be able to spend more time with, you know, the one specific animals that I like the most, and a few certain species, you know. So
yeah,
I think that everybody's in this collector mentality, you know, and it's so easy to get sucked into it, you know,
yeah,
especially with social media, you know, seeing all these people that got racks and racks and racks full of ball pythons and, you know, brooms full of, you know, all types of lizards, you know, a whole room full of bearded dragons, a whole room full of, you know, leopard geckos, and you know, it's easy to get into that collector mindset and to just want to just have all these animals, and then you just forget about the importance of actually taking care of them and spending time with them.
right.
So
Yeah.
just
So what you're
because you got
saying,
so much stuff that it's just no fun.
yeah. So what you're saying is it's allowed you to not only become a better keeper, and better the lives of the animals, but it's also allowed you to, get into a place where you enjoy it more and it's less like work.
Yeah, basically.
Okay.
Basically, it's just, you know, it's expanding your horizons. You know, it's
Now, I will
just
say
every
this.
day I see something new, and
Go ahead.
what's up?
Go ahead.
Oh, he was
Well, no,
talking.
I just,
Oh,
yeah, no, I was just gonna say to you, Gabe. Been knowing you quite a while. It's been a long time. I've noticed over the last maybe 5 or 6 years, you've started to keep some things I've never seen you keep before. What maybe sparked that? You're working with some arboreal
Oh,
snakes now. You never did that in the past. So what?
oh, actually, I've really gotten more into. I mean, I used to do just big snakes and stuff like that. You know, I have
Yeah, yeah,
reticular
you were the
pythons,
replay guy
vermilion
forever.
pythons. Yeah, that was basically it. But you know, just basically having a baby was what changed that. You know, starting
Yeah,
to
but
go into the
you started
smaller stuff.
keeping arboreals before you had the baby.
Well, yeah, I did, but it's, you
Yeah.
know, basically, hey, man, it's an addiction, man. You want them all, you know, kind of thing. You got to catch them all. It's like Pokemon. Uh, at least that's what the way it was. Now, now it's not, by the way. But You know, I'm actually more now. I'm a lizard guy now, man. Truly, honestly, I've become a lizard guy. I just there's nothing like it. I got a freaking Asian water monitor, and he screwed me up. Because
All
I mean,
snakes
so
all the
smart. It's
time.
hard.
Still big.
Yeah, that thing
Still
is.
big stuff.
Well, yeah,
Now it's just
still big
big
stuff,
lizards.
but
Yeah.
yeah, just big
He's
lizards.
he's
And
the big reptile
was it?
guy.
It's like having a dragon in your house. It's amazing.
Oh yeah, it's
It's
cool, man.
amazing.
It's absolutely cool.
It,
I
it's a dragon that can that's a puppy basically.
Yeah.
That's what it's like. It's amazing. Sorry,
Well,
I
yeah. I
love
mean,
them.
I can
Nick,
definitely. Yeah, go
I
ahead.
was going to say, no, let's hear from you. And the same
Well,
question I posed to Gabe.
how has it changed the way I do things? I mean, yeah, I agree with Gabe. It's definitely given me a broader sort of look at what other people are doing in the hobby. So I can get a. Yeah, I know Jake's behind me. That's my boy back there, my oldest. Um, he's jumping out of the way. But yeah, it's given me a broader look at of what reptile keeping is sort of becoming. Going back to how it's changed and everything. I knew how to do what I knew how to do when I was a teenager and I was living in my parents' house and my whole bedroom was covered in tanks and vivariums and everything else. But I've definitely.
Yes, it was.
Yes, it was. Yeah, you can speak to that. That was the zoo in my room for sure. And then I had the collector mentality back then, although I was, a different kind of keeper. I was dedicated to every single one of those animals, and they were all my pets, and they all got handled, and they all got special attention all the time. And it's not that I
And
don't take care of my animals now. It's just that
I'm
I've
gonna
sort
raise
of.
my hand.
Yeah, go ahead.
No, sorry. That's you just said something that I think that people forget. And something that I think that social media has. We're talking about social media, so something that social media has really screwed up. It's okay to just be a keeper.
Yeah,
So
yeah, that's a
just like
great
you
point.
said, back then you were just a keeper.
Yeah,
You
I was
know,
just a keeper, and
social media really screwed it up to where everybody thinks they can have these animals and breed these animals. Oh, I'm gonna get two bearded dragons and I'm gonna breed these bearded dragons. I don't know how to take care of them. So
yeah, good luck
that's
having
something that
100 babies. Good luck with your 100
exactly.
babies per
So
season with your one pair
Yeah,
of
and
babies.
that
sorry
speaks
for
to me.
interrupting you.
No, it's a great
Oh,
point.
no,
Yeah,
it's
sorry.
a very good point because I'm just the keeper.
Yeah, dude,
And I
you gotta be a
and
keeper. I mean,
that's
that's
my
what it's
plan.
about.
Yeah, I think between the three of us, we have the levels pretty well covered. I mean, we have Gabe, who definitely has gone through the motions, and he does breed small numbers of certain animals. Nothing like on a huge scale. He's very dedicated to
Yeah.
naturalistic setups and loves all his animals, and he's definitely a keeper at heart. You are really at this point strictly a keeper. You love the couple of reptiles that you have. You pine over them. I know I talk to you on almost a nightly basis about humidity and temperature and everything else. So yeah, you're always worried, and that's a good thing, and that's fantastic. And then you
That's a
have
great thing.
me, who there's the eagle is going off because Jake's out of his room. We have a green cheek conure. I might have mentioned that last time. So sorry about the noise. Nothing I can do about it. Short of put him outside, but it's pretty cold. I don't think I want to do that.
So, Nick,
No, you gotta
in
listen
these
to it.
past
Everybody gotta
years,
listen
Uh,
to it.
I've noticed you've kind of gone in I don't want to say a new direction, but I've seen your shelves and I know what you got. And I know what you have now. You have a few things that you never really had in the past. What sparked that? Maybe something you saw, or you just truly like the coloring of that animal, or
yeah,
where'd
I
that
mean,
come
I've
from?
I've, I've gone through the motions. Just a quick sentence answer to the last question, since I sort of skirted around it. It's definitely changed me from just a keeper to somebody who wants to sort of pursue this as a herpetoculturist, or somebody who produces animals and does it as even sort of a side business. um I don't have expectations of grandeur. I'm sure I'll grow as it goes on, but yeah, I mean, I came out here where I live now to go back to college, and I didn't really have animals, and I missed having reptiles, and I needed to, find a group of animals that I could work with that would fit my lifestyle, fit the small apartment, and fit, the time that I had. So New Caledonian geckos were a fantastic choice, and social media definitely had a role in that. I watched hundreds and hundreds of hours of videos and joined Facebook groups and listened and watched conversations and didn't ask a lot of questions personally. I mostly just let other people ask the questions and then looked at the answers. Um, I've never been good at formulating questions, I don't think, so I like to do it that way. But yeah, New
And
Caledonian
that's
geckos.
like where you're at now. That's your thing.
Yeah, it's sort of what I've
That's your
adopted,
niche now.
and yeah, I mean, I'm coming at this from a business perspective, and social media. We can segue right into the one of the really good things about social media, how it's helped the reptile business, so to speak. We have these platforms available to us now. We have Facebook. Facebook is primarily what I'm using to sort of quote unquote grow my business. I produce pretty small numbers of geckos for the business side of it. There's a lot of people out there producing way more. Um, and I use social media platforms to let people know what I'm doing and what I'm working on and what my goals are as far as producing these animals, whether it be the look or just, growing my collection as far as the different types of species. I use Facebook for that. I almost use Facebook exclusively for business now, even though I have a personal page. I don't post on it often. Um, I mostly just post on the Gecko Galaxy book page. Um, and I think it's great for that. Social media can really let people see what you're working with and just sort of get your name out there. And I'm doing it at a really slow pace, and I'm sure this happens with most small businesses in the reptile community. Over the last few years, I've gone from almost nobody, basically just some people on my friends list liking the page, and obviously family like you guys, to I'm coming up on 600 followers on my page, which for me seems like a really big deal. I'm extremely excited about it, and I've shipped geckos to all corners of the country, um, and people are always happy with what they get so far, so that's great. So uh, you know not just Facebook is helping me, but another really great, I consider it a social media platform, even though it's a business platform, is Morph Market. um, Morph Market has changed the game when it comes to the reptile business. Um,
Mhm.
it's the forum on steroids. That's what I like to call it. When we started out, we had the forums. You guys can tell me what the forums were. You
Yeah,
both
King
know.
Snake,
King
Yeah.
Snake,
uh,
I was about to say Morph Market's like the
Fauna.
paid version of King Snake.
King Snake, Fauna Classifieds were really the big one. And my
Yeah,
personal
Fauna.
opinion,
Fauna's still going strong though.
yeah, in my personal opinion, that's what I was going to say. I think Fauna's still going strong. I cross post everything that I post availability wise on Morph Market and Fauna, and I get inquiries from Fauna. Mm, Slightly less than I get them from Morph Market, but they're still there. So I think it's definitely alive
Yeah,
and
I mean,
well.
Morph Market's a little easier to surf. You
Yeah,
know.
that's what I love about Morph Market is they've turned this into an extremely user friendly platform with a bunch of
Yeah, it's
categories,
dummy proof
almost anything
basically.
you could want to look for, and then subcategories too. There's
How
mixed
to buy
opinions
reptile
on.
for dummies, basically.
Basically, yeah. There's mixed opinions on on morphs in the species and working with different color morphs as opposed to just working with the pure animals. There's still some purists out there, but the morph has really become king. And on Morph Market, you can find any morph you're looking for basically just by using a subcategory. Just click on that, and all the animals that fit into that category will come up. You know,
Hmm.
and you can speak to the people who are involved. You can get to know them, and ask them questions and stuff like that. So it's 100% a social media platform as much as it is a business platform. And I think it's really sort of taken the place for a lot of us of the personal business website. I don't have one currently. I'd like to, but Morph Market works. So
Yeah, you don't really need one.
yeah, not currently. I might at some point, but
No,
yeah.
if you nowadays if you got a Facebook and an Instagram, you got to you. That's all you need.
Yeah,
You
and
don't need a
that's
website.
another thing. I can't really say anything bad about Instagram. I'm sure that the comment section can get heated, just like in Facebook. I don't see that as much. Most of the time, I don't get a lot of comments on my stuff,
Yeah,
unless
I
it's like
basically
family or
stick to just
friends.
Instagram most of the
But
time.
Instagram is a good platform because good quality photos of your animals, whether it be herping or whether it be, um, you know, the herpetoculture side of it is really important in the hobby. So using Instagram to share your photos just to get your name out there is it's a great platform. And I'm going to stop now because I've been talking
No,
for
you're
a
good.
minute.
No, you're good.
Keep
It was
talking,
actually
man. You
3
sound
minutes.
good. I get to talking and I'm like,
Yeah.
And I sound like we know. You know what I sound like? I don't got to tell
it's
you.
just,
It's
I
It's just
what?
start
temporary.
thinking, I start thinking, and everything wants to come out my mouth at the same time, and none of it makes
I
any sense.
saw the steam earlier. I saw the steam. I didn't want to say nothing, but
Hey, I can't help it, man. Can't help it. I'm trying here. So, yeah, man. I'm not, what am I trying to say? I'm not a very
We're
out
not
there
laughing at
kind
you,
of
Gabe.
person.
We're not laughing at you. He told me to check the private chat, and I tried to write the word "all right."
it was like
Oh,
Okalok.
okay.
Crute.
You can see it too. It's funny.
Yeah, if you go to private chat, you'll see it. Sorry, guys. Sorry
Oh my
to our
god.
one viewer. I do want to say something that's off topic. Not really, because it's a podcast, and our goal is obviously to get
There is
people
no topic.
to watch. We've had between 1 and 3 viewers ever since we started, and I did say something in the public comment section. Anybody who is watching, I don't know who this is. Could be somebody I know. Could be somebody I don't know.
I know who it is.
Oh, he knows who it is, so never mind. But anyway, I just want to put it out there for people who watch later. Please, if you're watching and you like what you hear or you don't like what you hear, comment and let us know what you're thinking. We'd love to put your comment up on
Yeah.
screen and have a conversation with you. That's why we're here. So
You feel free to
Yeah.
tell me I sound like a jackass.
no, I don't think that'll happen. This is
No,
the
I'm just playing.
negative side of social media that we're talking about.
Yeah, exactly.
Let's keep the personal incredulity to a minimum. But yeah, so I think we've covered most of what we want to cover tonight. There's definitely some really dirty and ugly sides to using social media as somebody in this hobby, or pretty much any hobby, honestly. But there's also some really good aspects of it, and it's extremely helpful, and it's obviously grown this hobby to a very large extent. So,
And no matter how much we hate it, we still love it.
and we
no
use
one
it
can
because
say
it is the way of the day.
Yes,
Yeah.
it is.
And you got to remember, everybody, it starts with you. It's not a group effort until all these people come together. So don't be mean.
Agreed.
Be nice. Do your own research. Do more research, and when you're done researching again, make good decisions and be nice to people. That's how it goes.
Yeah,
That's just how it
absolutely.
is. It starts with you and me and you and you.
Absolutely. I agree 100%. Um, yeah. Any final thoughts, Gabriel?
No, sir, man.
I never call you Gabriel, but
I
I'm
think we
calling you
kind of
Gabriel.
I
covered
was
it.
wondering where the
Okay,
hell did that come
that's
from?
Did I put Gabriel up there? Yeah, I
Yeah,
sure
but
did.
that's
Yeah.
but you go by that too. I mean, I've just always called you
No, he
Gabe.
doesn't.
But
No, he doesn't.
no, he doesn't. Gabe,
No, well,
Gabriel,
y'all, it just depends.
Got
Gabe,
it.
Gabriel, Gabby. Whatever.
Yeah, but no, man, I think we're good. I think we pretty much got it covered. I'm excited for the next episode for sure.
Yeah, we're
Me
gonna have to
too.
figure out what
Me
we
too.
want to do. And obviously, just back at our viewers. If you
Let us know.
Yeah, let us know what you want to hear us talk about. If you want to talk about a particular subject, I'm sure we can put something together. And we would obviously at some point love to have other guests on this. And my plan is to reach out to some people and see if we can maybe get some people to talk to us. I honestly think that in our community, there's a lot of really nice, down to earth people who would be happy to talk to us, even though they have no idea who we are yet. So,
Yeah.
Yeah, man. Yeah,
Hey, man.
yeah.
We'll find someone to talk
So
reptiles.
I'm going to go into it with a good
everybody.
attitude, and we'll see if we can get somebody to speak with us in the coming weeks. But this is I think a good time to wrap it up. So if you want to wrap it up, bro, go ahead.
All right, guys. Always remember, U.S. Ark. They're the key here. They're fighting for you. They're fighting for me. They're fighting for all of us. Check them out. And here it is. Week 2 coming to a close. I'm hanging out. We're all hanging out. You're hanging out. This is Reptile Hangouts. and we'll see you next week.
Tell them to like and follow. Hit the bell. Right, Nick?
That's
Oh
right.
yeah,
Yeah.
so
So
it's
this is
okay. Mine
currently only.
doesn't. I forget this is YouTube because all I see is the stream platform.
Yeah.
But you gotta like,
So,
you gotta
so we
follow,
are
gotta
using my
subscribe.
YouTube. Yeah, we are using my YouTube platform right now to post this out here. Hopefully,
Yeah.
you know, if we get some traction behind it, we'll be able to post on multiple platforms. But currently, it is on the Gecko Galaxy channel. So if you're seeing it, then you must be on YouTube, or maybe you're one of my subscribers. Greatly appreciate that. Some more videos on this channel coming at you. Actually, one tonight that will highlight our trip to Tinley Park, and then I got some more in the works. So you will see some more content from me. And you will obviously see us at least once a week right here at 9:30 p.m. every Friday Eastern Standard Time.
Eastern Standard. Yep. Yes,
Yep.
sir. All right. So
So
let me try
please
that
tune in.
again. Try that one more time. Like, follow, subscribe. And I'm hanging out. We're hanging out. You're hanging out. This is Reptile Hangouts. We'll see you next week.
Ciao,
All
guys.
right. See ya.
Bye.